the shadowy corridors of power and privilege lies an enigmatic world few truly understand, the domain of the elite mafiosos. For decades, their influence has been both feared and revered, their illicit dealings obscured by a veneer of respectability. Today, we delve deep into their clandestine activities, unmasking the untouchable figures of organized crime who have managed to evade justice while amassing fortunes and commanding respect. Our journey begins in the early 20th century, when the foundations of modern organized crime were laid. These elite mafiosos, often portrayed as larger-than-life characters, were not merely lawless bandits, but shrewd businessmen. They operated under the radar of law enforcement, using a sophisticated web of corruption and intimidation to maintain their grip on power. Their crimes, although heinous, were often so intricately concealed behind legitimate enterprises that they seemed untouchable. The term mafioso conjures images of Italian-American gangsters in sharp suits. The truth is more complex. Each mafia family, whether Sicilian, Russian, or Japanese yakuza, has its own code and territory. However, they all share one common trait: their ability to adapt. These organizations are not relics of the past. They have evolved, embracing new technologies and global networks to expand their influence. From drug trafficking and money laundering to cybercrime and human trafficking, elite mafiosos have diversified their portfolios, making them even more elusive targets for law enforcement. One might wonder how these criminals maintain their operations without succumbing to the long arm of the law. The answer lies in their ability to exploit systemic weaknesses. Elite mafiosos often invest heavily in corrupting public officials, ensuring that investigations are either stalled or never initiated. This culpable collusion extends beyond borders, as mafiosos forge alliances with other criminal organizations, trading favors and information. Their operations are further masked by legitimate fronts: restaurants, construction companies, and even financial institutions, providing a respectable facade that shields them from scrutiny. The case of Al Capone, perhaps America's most infamous mobster, serves as a prime example of how elusive these criminals can be. Despite his notorious reputation and a laundry list of crimes attributed to his name, Capone was ultimately brought down not by violent crime charges, but by tax evasion. This reflects the perennial challenge faced by law enforcement: the difficulty of securing tangible evidence against individuals who leave no paper trail. In recent years, stories of elite mafiosos transitioning from criminal empires to political realms have become alarmingly common. These figures realize that true power lies not just in wealth, but in influence, political influence. They fund political campaigns, sway elections, and, in some cases, assume official positions themselves. This integration into the very fabric of governance renders them, again, untouchable. Their dual identities as criminals and statesmen provide them with unprecedented protection. The reach of elite mafiosos is not confined to the regions traditionally associated with organized crime. Globalization has enabled these figures to cast their nets wider, establishing operations in North America, South America, Europe, Africa, and Asia. In doing so, they exploit global supply chains, engage in smuggling, and infiltrate new markets. The recent rise of online crime, including hacking and online fraud, has further expanded their empire, allowing them to operate without geographical constraints. Yet, despite their pervasive presence and the sophisticated nature of their crimes, efforts to combat these criminal enterprises continue. International cooperation among law enforcement agencies has intensified, with networks like Interpol and the United Nations playing pivotal roles. Task forces focusing on organized crime have achieved significant victories in dismantling several mafia networks, bringing their leaders to justice. However, the battle is far from over. In conclusion, unmasking the untouchables, those elite mafiosos who operate with impunity, is a task fraught with challenges, but not without hope. Understanding their methods, motivations, and machinations is crucial to curbing their influence. It requires unyielding resolve and international collaboration to dismantle their empires, protect the vulnerable, and restore the rule of law. In the end, It is a reminder that although these figures may appear invincible, they are ultimately human, capable of being held accountable by a society determined to uphold justice.